Welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ plus daily news television show, broadcasting live and available on demand on your favorite streaming channels.
We are proud to announce that YouTube has recognized Queer News Tonight, certified by analytics company vidIQ, as the world's most popular LGBTQ streaming news show. Our queer stories have reached over 10 million views.
We are proud that we have more than 1,000 new subscribers in the last month, and the Queer News Tonight has more YouTube subscribers than any other LGBTQ plus brand in Florida.
Over 500,000 of you have watched this show in the last 90 days. We thank you for watching and supporting our voice in the LGBTQ community.
There's no other news program in the LGBTQ world like Queer News Tonight.
It is Monday, April 14th, 2025. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we'll tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
You're watching Queer News Tonight, the world's first daily LGBTQ evening news show.
Welcome to the world's most important LGBTQ evening news show.
Hotspots Magazine Happening Out Television Network is a nonprofit 501c3 media company in the same model of PBS and NPR, but designed for the LGBTQ plus community.
Our nonprofit mission is to support the 11 pillars of our LGBTQ plus community. We want to inform and educate the key issues of lesbian, trans, Latino, Black, healthcare, seniors, students, faith, social justice, business, and queer culture. Help us support our diverse community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ nonprofit media companies in America, Hotspots Magazine and Happening Out Television Network.
In 2025, our magazine is celebrating 40 years of the LGBTQ experience, and Queer News Tonight is celebrating our 5th anniversary with more than 10,000 LGBTQ television stories. We will produce the 25th anniversary of our Stonewall Pride Parade and Festival on June 14th. We present Pride Fete in August and Pride Fort Lauderdale in February. Our magazine, events, television news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ and broader community.
In 2025, more than 100 community leader anchors will host this show to support the LGBTQ plus community. Let's meet today's anchors at Queer News Tonight. Let's welcome anchor Edward Otto Zielke. He has a successful career in financial marketing and serves as the director of marketing and sponsorship for the Gay Men's Chorus of South Florida. Edward, the Lexus Gay Polo Tournament returns on April 26th. Tell me what's happening.
Yes, the 2025 Lexus International Gay Polo Tournament gallops back into Palm Beach from April 21st to the 26th. Uniting music, sport, and LGBTQ plus pride. Hosted by Patagones Polo Club in Wellington, Florida, the event celebrates the Gay Polo League's 15th anniversary. Nearly 2,000 attendees are expected at this glamorous, inclusive spectacle. Kicking off with a private reception on April 24th, festivities continue on April 25th with Wigstock, a high-energy costume party headlined by DJ Citizen Jane. On April 26th, 6 LGBTQ teams from around the world compete in high-stakes polo match beginning at 1 p.m. Spectators can enjoy vibrant tailgates, live shows by the Gay Men's Chorus of South Florida, the South Florida Pride Concert Band, and the International Flag of Nations Procession. VIP guests are treated to gourmet dining and prime views, with proceeds supporting the Elton John AIDS Foundation. This weekend blends fierce competition with a powerful message of unity. Visit gaypolo.com for details. This is our second year, the Gay Men's Chorus, being up at Gay Polo. The first time we went up last year, and I was so glad that we did, because the members really love this. You know, you don't get to come out of South Florida and really go into Wellington and experience like the horses and all of that stuff. So they really got a kick out of it. But I'll tell you, man, when you see brands like Lexus, you know, being a part of that signifies that, you know, we got some good support in the LGBTQ plus world for that. So that's inspiring. And so, you know, we're happy just to be back again and just to be a part of it.
Yeah. You know, I went two years ago, and wow, I didn't know what to to expect, right? I was expecting Wellington. It's not far from Mar-a-Lago, right? So I was thinking pretentiousness. I was thinking, right, just no inclusivity. I was so wrong. I mean, like, such a wonderful festivities. The guys in their outfits on horses look so damn hot. Like, I can't even tell you. Okay. And it's coming from a lesbian, right? I mean, they've got incredible performances. The gay men's chorus is out there, you know, and again, big kudos to Lexus. Like, we're always having stories from this table about companies like this not supporting or yanking the support from our prides, etc.
Yeah.
And Lexus is still putting their money where their mouth is and supporting us in such a great way. I mean, gay polo. Take that in.
I mean, now think about it. Horses, men in white tight pants,
Yes.
knee-high leather boots, and balls. I mean, come on. What more can we ask for?
You just drop in a little bit of fabulousness, because
Right.
I'll tell you,
A wig
us
here
gays
and
like
there.
glam it up, and it's actually it's a wonderful experience. You know, everybody dresses up to the nines, and
Yes.
it's so wonderful.
And it's a whole weekend, right? It's not
Yeah.
just one day.
yeah, they're expanding on it. Yeah, it's fantastic.
I mean, I've never been to a gay polo, but you know, I'm starting to. Maybe I should, you know, go to this event. You know,
Absolutely.
It seems something, you know, just something different, something that you know would be good, and it's for a good cause. You know, so
Absolutely.
Gets no better than that. And that is the big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing. And Queer News Tonight looks forward to seeing you at the Lexus Gay Polo Tournament on April 26th. Let's welcome anchor Angel Martinez. Angel Martinez is a passionate mental health advocate and policy change enthusiast from Miami. A proud Cuban Nicaraguan American, he champions LGBTQ plus causes and the Stonewall movement with humor, drive, and a fierce dedication to justice. Angel, so Lantera hosts their 80s themed prom for LGBTQ mental health. Tell me what's happening.
yeah. Okay. So Lantera is hosting an evening of fun and advocacy with the Come As You Are prom. Flashback to the 80s, end quote, on Saturday, May 17th from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. at the Wilton Collective Event Space. The night kicks off with an exclusive VIP hour from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m., offering guests a commemorative cup for unlimited prom punch, two free drinks, and a Lantera wrist bracelets with perks at future events. General admission includes 2 free drinks. The event will feature DJ Marky Mark's 80s hits and performances by Jasmine Price Lords and Katya Tension. All proceeds will support Lantera's missions to provide mental health resources. For event details, visit Lantera on social media. So yeah, no, I mean, you know, it's good that we have more events like this, right? Events that cater to mental health, events that, you know, support mental health, right? We need to have more discussions about mental health. And, you know, I think this is good, right? We have, you know, more events that are open to supporting mental health causes and to help eliminate the stigma.
Yeah, there's no secret that there's a stigma to getting help. And unfortunately, so many people in LGBTQ plus community really need mental health services. And I love that Lantera is stepping up to the plate and saying, we're going to throw a badass prom. Come as you are. We've got some prom punch. You all remember what's in the prom punch, right? Edward is like,
I love the theme, man. 80s prom, that's like right up my alley. You know, I just think about, that's so much fun because, you know, a lot of us, especially me, like when I went to the prom, I went with a female. Nothing wrong with
There's nothing wrong with that.
You know, I was gay. So, you know, I just didn't feel like myself. And so, you know, if I had to do a prom all over again, why not do it something like this?
Right.
But, you know?
No, and you took the words right out of my mouth. Like, I didn't get to go to prom with my wife, right? And now I get to go to prom with my wife.
Yeah.
Like, how cool is that? And the thing is, like, yeah, I was around in the 80s, but not old enough to really enjoy the 80s for what it was. I loved 80s music. I love 80s music. So, like, now I'm doing it big. Like, I'm trying to figure out, like, what we're dressing as. I don't know if we're doing Madonna or Prince.
Just
like,
bring back the hair, the big hair.
Well, you know what? Big hair, but I all like, yeah, like on the car, big hair, right? Like all sexy, like what's her name? Catan. Remember she would be like on top of the cars with all that? But I was also thinking like Robert Palmer. Like all the hair slicked back, the red lipstick for me and Teresa, and get like one of the gay boys like Vaughn or someone to be Robert Palmer. Like that's what I'm thinking. I'm just saying, will you?
Right. Why not?
I mean, I think we'd have so much fun. I mean, you know, and that's just like, you know, the tip of the iceberg, doing something fun with people that you love being with while raising money for mental health. Yeah. Coño, it doesn't get any better than that.
I mean, come on, let's bring back the men's shoulder pads for the suits, right? No.
I don't think you need them.
You don't think,
right? Right?
And I'm looking at it going, I graduated high school in 82, so I'm like, whoa.
Well, grab something from then and put it on.
Yeah.
Oh.
It'll be fun.
Yeah.
Well, that is the big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing. And Queer News Tonight looks forward to seeing you at the Come As You Are prom flashback to the 80s on May 17th. Next up, let's welcome anchor Larry Farver. Larry has over 20 years of experience in human resources, acting, film, radio, TV, live events, parade float design, production, and casting. How is he even here at the table with no time, right? He's also a board member of the West Side Association. So Larry, Joel DaSilva band to rock Mickel Park. Oh my God, their band is amazing. So they're rocking Mickel Park on April 25th. Tell me what's happening.
FayWhat? Yep. Mickel Park will come alive with the sounds of blues, R&B, and rock on Friday, April 25th as the Joel DaSilva Band takes the stage for a free live concert. The event runs from 7:30 to 9:30 and is part of the Live at Mickel concert series open to the entire community. Organized with the support of WHAM.org, which is the West Side Association volunteers. We will be running the concession stand, and we have some really great food. It'll be a vibrant mix of music, dancing, and socializing. Guests are encouraged to bring comfortable lawn chairs or blankets for a relaxed night under the stars. A variety of food, snacks, and drinks, including beer, wine, and soda, and water will be available at the concession stand, highlighted by hot, authentic Sicilian pizza from Dolce Salato Pizza and Gelato on the Drive, one of the event's sponsors. All ages are welcome for this fun-filled night. It's very family friendly. People bring their dogs. It's a great time. I volunteer regularly for the West Side Association. I think it's important. We get a really good turnout from all over Broward County and beyond. We've had people come from Miami. We have people who are on vacation and they look up and say, hey, what's going on? So I encourage people to come out. And the best part, aside from the food concession, is it's a free event.
It's a free event, and we don't get too many of those. A free event at Mickel Park, and they've got so much space, right? And the weather's just been so perfect these days to have like a nighttime event like that. So you grab your dog, you grab your lawn chair, you bring a couple snacks, you buy your drinks there if you want, and have a great little family time out, like rock under the stars, give me a little of that. I'm all about that.
People get up and dance right on the patio in front of the amphitheater. So it's awesome.
That's awesome.
Only get up and dance if you can. Like if you know how to. I don't mean if you can. You know what I mean?
No Elaine from Seinfeld.
No Elaine from Seinfeld.
Yeah.
So that is a big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing. And Queer News Tonight looks forward to seeing you at Joel DaSilva Band live performance at Mickel Park on April 25th. Let's welcome my brother from another mother. He's anchor Vaughn Biggs. He's a community outreach coordinator at Holy Cross Health, a vice chair of the Ryan White Part A Planning Council, and a founding board member of Trans Ed. Hi, Francesca. Vaughn, so Holy Cross Health will celebrate 25 years. I can't even get over that. Wow, what an accomplishment. So you guys will be celebrating 25 years in Wilton on May 31st. Tell us what's happening.
That's right. It's a birthday party.
Woo!
Opa, baby. Opa. Ready? Holy Cross Health marks 25 years of service to the Wilton Manors community with a vibrant celebration on Saturday, May 31st from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. at Hunter's Nightclub. Titled Opa, a celebration of 25 years of Holy Cross serving the Wilton Manors community, the event promises an unforgettable afternoon of music, food, and gratitude. Broadway sensation Nick Adams will headline, join with Emmy and Grammy winner John McDaniel, and a lineup of local talent. Guests will enjoy Greek-themed hors d'oeuvres and a festive atmosphere honoring the hospital's long-standing impact. VIP tickets offer premium seating and open bar access with tables, including a bottle of Prosecco. General admission is $50, with standing room available for $35. This milestone event celebrates Holy Cross's commitment to compassionate care and community support. For tickets and details, visit harmonywaves.org. I'm just really excited for this. Dr. Jason Sievers, who is a dear friend of mine.
McDreamy.
He's part of the planning committee for this, which is awesome. And he gave us a quote that Holy Cross Health's 25 years of commitment to LGBTQ plus healthcare isn't just good practice. It's a powerful statement that everyone deserves dignity, support, and equal access to care, no matter who they are or who they love, and that's a reason for celebration. OPA. And then Kim Sazwick, the vice president of Holy Cross, she quoted, celebrating within our community can be incredibly uplifting and unifying. Holy Cross's Wilton Manors Clinic, the premier primary care provider for LGBTQ plus care, seeks to share in celebrating its 25 years of service to our community with this fun-filled, entertaining afternoon. Join in the singing, laughter, food, and fun, and celebrate 25 years with us. OPA.
Wow.
I just can't wait. Again, we keep talking about 25 years, but then when you look at Holy Cross in general, we've been there 70.
Wow.
So it's amazing that clinic has been there and has been there to support and just continues to thrive. And the doctors keep putting themselves in the community and they've embedded themselves, and we're not going anywhere.
You know, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that you folks are called Holy Cross, right? And a lot of us have issues when it comes to religious, you know, religious organizations, etc. So the fact that you've been able to pave this way and make yourselves part of LGBTQIA in such a way where we can't imagine community without Holy Cross now. You guys did that. You, Kim, Jason, you have embedded yourselves in community where most of us forget that Holy Cross meant that a bunch of nuns were taking care of you back in the day.
Right.
You know, and that's not what Holy Cross represents these days. And you make it so apparent with just your, you know, you're embedded, your faces, you know, your community. It's amazing. And we get to celebrate that at Hunters, you know, and you get to do it with Harmony Waves. Harmony Waves is freaking incredible. They're always, they bring you Rock the Block, and they always bring incredible names to Wilton and surrounding areas. And one of my besties is on the board, Dr. Cal Gajraj, and he sent us a quote as well. And he said, Holy Cross Health has played a vital role in the Wilton Manors community for the past 25 years. Harmony Waves is excited to be part of this celebration featuring Broadway star Nick Adams and Emmy and Grammy Award winner John McDaniel, end quote. It's going to be a festive night, and you should be very, very proud of yourselves. You know, it's hard to have fun at your own event, right? And celebrate what it means to be around 25 years. But understand that longevity, nobody has that, Vaughn.
Exactly.
That's 25 years of helping people that need help.
Right.
And our group starts growing exponentially, how much more help that we're needed. And you come across with, all right, what new services do we need to provide?
Exactly.
What is community in need for? You know, right now where all these grants are being cut and people don't know where to get their pep and prep, Holy Cross is still leading the way.
We're digging in, right? We have to. Somebody has to.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I can't wait for this event. It's going to be fantastic. And that is the big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing. And Queer News Tonight looks forward to seeing you at OPA on May 31st, celebrating Holy Cross.
And of course, let's welcome tonight's lead anchor, FayWhat. She is legendary events host, television and radio personality, and the host of Hotspots Happening Out to the FayWhat Show. Faye, Pandora Events brings Femnomenon on May 2nd. Tell us what's happening.
I can't wait to tell you. So on May 2nd, Pandora Events brings the heat, baby, to Wilton Manors with Femnomenon, a party with a purpose, hosted at the Manors Epic Ballroom starting at 10:30 p.m. This electrifying event invites guests to dance, to connect, and celebrate the power of women and the community. With DJ Zeno, I love Zeno, and Manguski spinning high-energy beats all night, the dance floor promises nonstop rhythm and fierce vibes. The night also shines a spotlight on incredible women-owned businesses and trailblazing talent, creating a space where empowerment means entertainment. Pandora Events, known for curating inclusive and vibrant celebrations, encourages attendees to come as they are, ready to move, party, mingle, and make memories. Whether you're there to network or to let loose and find a new boo, or a current boo, whatever it is, the Manor Complex is the place that you want to be on May 2nd. Ticket starts at just $10. So for more details, visit pandoraevents.com. A big shout out going out to Jesse, Allison, and Amy, who are the girls who put together Pandora. And, you know, they've been with me since I was a little lesbian back in the day, and they're still bringing out these community events. And, you know, I love when Wilton Manors opens its doors and gives us these girl parties, right? And not only is Wilton Manors opening up and giving us these girl parties, but they're allowing us to have it at the Manor, baby. You know, when you think of the Manor, you think of 4,000 of your closest gay boys with no shirts on, right? But for this evening, the girls get to take over the grand ballroom, and that's incredible, you know, in such a welcoming space. And every time they do have a girl event there, the boys always peek in and are like, oh, let me come in and dance for a little bit. And the girls go over to the boys' spot. And, you know, it's a lot of fun, and it's inclusive, and it's, you know, what we need right now. Everybody needs to have a place where they see themselves.
Yeah.
in a
Absolutely.
festive environment, you know?
Yeah, I mean, especially, within the lesbian community that we don't really often see, especially, in some of our big gay cities, so it's good to have these type of events out there, just promoting the L word.
Yes, the L word.
Every gay boy should have a lesbian in their life. That's all I can say. I know I've got mine.
I think we all got one at this table.
Thank you.
That is the big LGBTQ plus story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ plus stories by subscribing and sharing, and Queer News Tonight looks forward to seeing you at Femnomenon on May 2nd.
Now let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ story for today. I'm FayWhat, and let's queer up lesbian and queer women. Women's sports bars are booming across the U.S. Women's sports bars are having a breakout moment in 2025, and it's only getting bigger. According to a new NBC News analysis, 3 women's sports bars have already opened this year, and 14 more are set to launch before year's end. That would quadruple the number of dedicated women's sports venues across the U.S. We're talking coast to coast, baby, New York to San Francisco, and in smaller cities like Pittsburgh, Kansas City, and Cleveland. Just last month, Phoenix welcomed Title IX Sports Grill, and Austin opened in 1972 Women's Sports Pub. In Omaha, Set the Bar kicked off during NCAA Women's Sweet 16. In Denver, 99er Sports Bar drew massive crowds in December after the Professional Women's Hockey League broke the all-time U.S. attendance record. Fans waved signs reading, quote, "After party at the Niners," as lines wrapped around the block. The momentum is fueled by record-breaking viewership by women and watching women's sports. Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano match was Netflix's most watched U.S. women's sporting event in history. Last year's NCAA women's basketball final outpaced all other basketball games, men's or women's, since 2019. Jenny Wen, founder of Portland's The Sports Bra, I love the name, inspired this movement, and I couldn't be happier. Sitting at the same chair for the last 4 years, we have done stories on us losing lesbian bars at a rapid rate. It got to the point where I think we were down to like 11 or something in the country. So the fact that 14, 16 are opening in just this year makes me so happy. I'm not a big sports fan. I'm not that lesbian, you know what I mean? Right? But I would go to see other lesbians that like sports, right? Like, come on, get the girls there and you'll get the other girls there.
But you know what? Then we're going to have the gay boys bringing their bachelor parties to the bars, right?
Which is okay because we do it to you guys all the time. So I think it's okay. Yeah. But I mean, like we were saying before, we all need those spaces to feel safe, whatever it could be. It could be a gay men's chorus. It could be the Pride Center. It could be where I get my medical services from. Whatever it is, right? We've got to feel seen and feel like we're in community, especially now. I've sat at this chair and I've said a statement that probably is not too not a fan favorite. I'm not comfortable in a lot of straight spaces these days. I'm not, and it's sad to say because I know that I have the luxury that if I don't tell you I'm gay, you probably won't know that I'm gay, but I still don't feel safe in those places. That's why events and places like this are so important. And there's got to be other queer people that feel the same way, that are afraid to go out and be their true authentic self. And these bars give them that place to be who they are. Do you remember the first time you went into a gay bar, Larry?
Oh, I sure do.
Do you remember that feeling?
I absolutely do. I was 18 years old at the Jersey Shore. Kid, borrowed my mother's car, and it was scary. But there were some nice people there, and I got through it.
Yeah. Well, that's what it's all about. So hey, give us more gay bars. Give us more LGBTQ plus bars. Whatever it looks like. All right. If it's community bars, we want more of them. More of these safe spaces mean more places for us to feel that we can be ourselves. Right. And that is the big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.
Now let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ plus story for today. I'm Otto Zielke, and let's queer up the USA view. World Pride DC issues travel warning for trans visitors. With World Pride just weeks away, all eyes are on Washington, DC. But the mood is not celebratory. On Friday, Capital Pride Alliance, the team behind World Pride 2025, released safety guidance for international visitors, especially transgender and non-binary travelers. Their message? Stay informed, travel cautiously, and weigh the risks carefully. The group said, quote, "We recommend that travelers considering entry into the United States make an informed decision based on the potential risks involved," end quote. Citing recent federal policies under the Trump administration that could directly affect trans visitors, while passports with an X gender mark are still accepted internationally, a new U.S. State Department rule now requires visa applicants to list their sex assigned at birth. Advocates say this change could create roadblocks or even function as a ban for many in the global trans community. Despite these threats, the organizers believe that, quote, "Hosting this historic event in the U.S. Capitol, a place that has been so important to the movement, is a stark reminder that LGBTQ plus people exist and belong everywhere," end quote. The event runs May 17th through June 8th and promises everything from street festivals to a human rights conference. Behind the scenes, DC officials are ramping up security with aerial surveillance, Narcan stations, de-escalation training, and more. The city has a strong record of hosting secure, large-scale events, and this time it's personal. DC's mayor official of LGBTQ plus affairs said, quote, "We are proud to welcome more than 3 million visitors to Washington, D.C. for World Pride 2025. Our government agencies are working diligently with company organizers to ensure that World Pride is a safe, accessible, and bold celebration of our community. We are prepared and committed to supporting World Pride events, including the Human Rights Conference, parades, festivals, high heel races, sports tournaments, and more," end quote. Still, with Germany and others issuing trans travel advisories to the U.S., organizers are urging global solidarity. Whew, it's so sad to see that, our country now has this kind of advisory, for others where, we were a lead at once upon a time. But, we have good people on our side, the people that are, putting this World Pride together, and they're taking the necessary precautions. They want to make sure that people that do come to the area are safe.
Yeah.
Right.
And they're being very transparent about it, obviously, in their message. And they realize that, it's a very fragile time for our trans and non-binary community members. So I'm hoping that it goes well. It's going to set a precedence on, all the other prides, I think, going forward, too, in terms of like what it's going to look like. So I just think that if you're yourself and you're being responsible and you're enjoying yourself, you really should not have any issues. But, always proceed with caution at any event, but especially now.
It must have not been easy for them to release that statement.
Right. No.
Right? That had to be very difficult for them to do, right? But 3 million people are under their care, right? They're responsible, sort of, for 3 million people, right? God forbid somebody gets stuck here and sent to El Salvador. I hate to say that, I've never gone to another country where I've needed a visa, right? So anybody else?
No.
Okay, so I don't know how that exactly works. Right. So if somebody is applying for a visa to come here from Germany or from somewhere else, they would have to give their gender born at birth,
right?
Which would not match to what they look like, and then they would put themselves in some kind of jeopardy or some kind of danger. So that's why what you read was assess your situation, see how you feel about things, how safe are you, right? I mean, because I don't know how I would feel going to another country and putting myself through that. I'm not trans, and I'm worried about going to another country right now as a lesbian woman.
When you've identified yourself as trans, especially if you're in an international company and you're coming to the U.S. and they're asking you to take that X mark off and then identify yourself differently, I mean, that's alarming for somebody. So, I can understand how people would get upset wanting to come here.
Yeah. I was watching a documentary the other day about China and how they do the face recognition on everyone, right? And they basically know, if you are suspicious, if you are a threat, if you are part of any kind of community groups that raise flags, you know what I mean? And I really feel that we're a couple of steps from that happening here in the U.S. and it scares the living katoot out of me, to be able to, that there's some kind of list somewhere where all the LGBT people are on. And if we go somewhere, we won't be allowed back in. I mean, these are worries from someone who lives here in the U.S. I can't imagine being someone coming from another country. What do you think, honey?
I mean, I just think it's unfortunate. We have an administration that is both hostile to immigrants and members of our community. I mean, as somebody of the trans community, if I was an international traveler, I'd be scared to go to the U.S.
Yeah.
It's very unfortunate. I hope for brighter days for our community that we're able to get past this moment. I think this is a roadblock. I'm hoping it's a roadblock.
I mean, and such incredible people are performing. Troye Sivan, Jennifer Lopez, RuPaul, Kim Petras, Zed. I can go on and on. Rita Ora, like so many incredible people. This is how different this would be if Kamala won. Can you just sit in that space for what? It's uncomfortable for me to sit in that space because I know it's not true, and it would be such a different whole story. We would all be, hey, let's try to get there. Let's caravan. Let's figure it out.
It would feel more celebratory, and that's what it is. It's like, it's kind of like we're walking into this very cautiously, and it doesn't feel like pride.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like it normally does, but
a world pride at that.
Yeah.
This isn't a national. This is world pride.
This is a big one.
Right.
So basically, I just think that, if you're putting your best foot forward and you're going out there to have a good time, you will have it.
Yeah.
You just got to be safe.
And
Larry.
I think that the community will look out for each other and
yes.
like that.
Yes.
So I,
very good point. Very good
our
point.
audience to look out for one another.
Yeah.
And make sure.
And film everything.
Absolutely.
Film everything. And if you got there together, you leave together. I don't care about the hookup. I don't care about the hookup. You know who you are. You know who you are. That is the big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.
Now let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ plus story for today. I'm Angel Martinez, and let's queer up South Florida and Florida. Florida teacher is fired for using high school student's preferred name. A Florida high school teacher is out of a job after she called a student by their chosen name without parental permission. Melissa Cannon, a teacher at Satellite High School, will not have her contract renewed following a district investigation. The issue? She referred a student by a name different from the one on school records, which violates a 2023 Florida Board of Education rule. In a statement to Florida today, Brevard Public Schools spokesman Janet McCannon said, at BPS, our focus is on education. Teachers are here to teach and support students academically. Our job is to work in partnership with parents and guardians to ensure student success, end quote. The rule requires a signed, quote, parental authorization form, end quote, form for any student who wants to go by a name other than their legal name, even a nickname. Cannon admitted she, quote, knowingly did not comply with the state statute, end quote, and was issued a letter of reprimand. The state will now review her teaching certification, but students and staff at Satellite High are rallying behind her. A petition gained over 3,000 signatures in one day. At the recent school board meeting, several people showed up with handmade signs and emotional statements. Cannon's case is reportedly the first publicized job loss tied to the Florida's name use rule. For LGBTQ plus students, it's another reminder of how politics can intrude on personal identity and how affirming teachers may now be punished for simply showing support. I mean, it's very unfortunate, like we're having such a hostile environment for teachers now too. It's now trickling down into the schools, and it's the current administration, just everything that's going on. I mean, it shouldn't have to be like this. It shouldn't be this way for students.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of teachers in the area, and especially that are identify as LGBTQ plus, and it's been a progression for them, over the months that they've had to kind of take away things that kind of symbolize LGBTQ. It could be a pride flag, it could be a picture of their partner on their desk,
a safe space sticker on their door.
Right. So it's really hard. So obviously this is a targeted. Showing us, what could possibly happen.
Yeah.
In a county that obviously, doesn't support LGBTQ plus, community.
We're not far from Brevard County where we're at right now. We're in Broward County, and you do 50 miles up and we'll get to Brevard. It's right there. Right. It doesn't surprise me that the first of this kind of loss of job to a teacher would happen in Florida. Right. I'm not too surprised about that, but, it's heartbreaking. And, teachers are angels. Okay. Teachers are angels on earth. That's it. I don't care whatever kind of teacher you are, you're an angel. The fact that you get to educate another human being and make them a better person. Right. You walk away, teachers get paid shit.
Right.
and yet they're angels. Okay. In high school, knowing that I was gay, the teacher was my safe space. My theater teacher was my safe classroom to not get beat up when I was out in the gym. Right. There's the necessity is so there. They create that safe space. And now this happens to this woman. Teachers are called to be teachers. Okay. Let's say that, because it's like, I'm the first one to say, you guys don't get paid shit. You're treated awfully. You have to deal with some kids that might beat you up, and you still want to be a teacher. Yes. Every single time you ask a teacher that was my calling. That was what I want to do. My thought is, who ratted this woman out? Right? Because you need parental authorization to be able to give somebody a nickname, right? So you have to get a paper signed by their mother. I know my relationship with my mother was always very difficult. And if there was anything that I wanted, she was not going to help. So she was not going to sign a paper for anything that I needed or wanted if it had anything to do with LGBTQ. So this kid doesn't want to be dead named. He wants to be named what he feels is his name, and they're not allowing him to. And the teacher's like, F you, I'm going to call you what you want to be called. So kudos to this teacher for being the angel that she is and being able to say, okay, hey, I'm going to take my hit, whatever it is, and I'm still going to call you by what you prefer to be called, because that is the human thing to do.
Right, absolutely.
The interesting, I was reading some information on this, and there are 13 other states that have similar
13.
13 states that have similar issues with their school board. But there was a quote from Stanek that spoke very passionately to the school board members about her colleague, and that the quote was, "Her offense, ? An unintentional violation of a nickname policy. There was no harm, no threat to safety, no malicious intent, just a teacher trying to connect with a student. And for that, her contract was not renewed, despite her strong dedication and years of service," end quote. And I just find, as you said, they're angels in our community. And when I think back to my teachers, I still remember some of my teachers, and they make huge impact in people's lives.
Oh, they absolutely do.
They have the power and ability to do that, and you're stifling it.
Yeah, I had my chorus teacher, Jackie Washak, who was so supportive of me. The only thing that I found solace in high school was music. And so, I had to be in chorus. And so, she brought me right in, with everybody, all the other guys that were, gay back then. And so, it was a safe space to, just be artistic and be creative. And, I valued that so much because, like you, I never wanted to go to gym. I never wanted to take my clothes up in a locker room. I never wanted to go anywhere without, that support. So it was scary for me in high school. So, these teachers, we need to stick behind them.
Absolutely.
Look, like I said, we need LGBTQ plus schools. Yeah. All these teachers need to quit these places. We need to start having our own private schools for all our kids, and that's how we go.
Right.
What were you thinking about, honey?
No, it's teachers, sometimes they're the only support network for these students. Unfortunately, we have parents that are not always supportive to the LGBTQ plus community, just like you were saying, Faye. And I think, this teacher, she was brave, she actually stood up for the student. And if I had, I don't have kids, I do want to have kids one day. And I would be, if my kid was, wanted, to change their name and, and wanted to be addressed, right? Like, pronouns too, like that support, that would mean the world to me.
Yeah.
You're supporting, my child, it's just, we need more teachers like that show solidarity.
Exactly. Well, that is the big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.
Now let's dive deep into the big LGBTQ story for today. I'm Larry Farver, and let's queer up South Florida and Florida. Elijah Manley's Democratic campaign raises $275,000. Fort Lauderdale's member of the LGBTQ community, Elijah Manley, is making waves in South Florida and beyond with his bold grassroots run for Congress. Since launching his campaign on February 4th, Manley has raised a staggering $275,000 from over 11,000 individual donors, every one of them from everyday folks across all 50 states and Washington, D.C. Manley, a progressive teacher and longtime activist, says the momentum is building for real change. He said, quote, "South Florida's working families are getting squeezed more every day. Our campaign is showing we have the momentum to fight for and win a better future. Our campaign is showing we have the momentum to fight for and win a better future, end quote. Sorry. He's challenging Representative Sheila Sherfilis McCormick, who's facing a congressional ethics probe and a state lawsuit over her family business over $5.8 million in missing taxpayer funds. Elijah Manley isn't new to advocacy. He's fought for public schools, queer rights, voting access, and a $15 living wage. He says, quote, the incumbents' political and legal scandals have robbed District 20 voters of our voice in Congress for years. It's time to end the national embarrassment of a corrupt healthcare CEO representing the seat in Congress. I'm not afraid of standing up to entrenched power, end quote. Well, looking at some of the press on this, you're fully responsible, whether you're in the middle of a campaign or not. And while this happened before, I think it was a big, big error, and that should have been caught. When you're the CEO, you're responsible for, interfacing with your financial people, and you can't tell me that was a little oversight.
Yeah.
We need somebody strong. We've talked many times, the people sitting at this desk have talked about having LGBT leaders coming into Congress, and we need to support someone like this as a candidate.
Yeah.
It's very important.
Well, and Elijah's going after all our pockets, like what, the necessity is, like people are not making as much as they were. Everything is costing a lot more, right? People are not focusing on the fact that insurance for homeowners in Florida has skyrocketed, that insurance for car insurance has skyrocketed. Florida used to be an easy place to live, right? We only had one tax and all that kind of fun stuff. And now our rentals are just as high as New York prices. And I know that most people don't believe that. I am from there. Trust me. Our prices in Brickell and in Miami are now $3,000-$4,000 for a 1-bedroom apartment. That is Herald Square prices in freaking New York. All right. And that is where we're at right now. And Elijah Manley is going after that, right? He moderated a town hall, on high utility bills. Mm-hmm. Okay. Something that I don't see many candidates doing. All right. And he said, we won't pay higher light bills just to boost corporate profits. I need somebody like that. I need someone that has his boots on the ground, knows what's going on, can smell the desperation, right? Because we're desperate. We need a leader that looks like us, represents us, and wants to, can get us more money or can help us save some money. Because things are going to get tougher. Budgets are going to get tougher. Things are going to get a lot more expensive than they are now. Like, I went to Walmart the other day, not to buy anything, but just to look around and see, like, oh, China, this comes from here, this comes from there. All these things that right now we pay this for is not going to be that anymore. Moving forward. So we need Elijahs to come on in, I get it that he comes from the world where he's like, all you people F this up for all these years and now we're left with this, right? But he's ready to do the fight. He's ready to fight wherever he needs to. He's already raised almost $300,000.
That's incredible.
That's incredible for a 20-something-year-old. That's amazing.
I was just going to say, to be that young and to raise that much money, it's so inspiring. And we definitely need leaders like this, because the Democratic Party, let's just be honest, I just don't think that we're in it, with these elections. We need a better strategy. We need a better plan. And I think we need better leaders coming into this with new ideas. And these young people, somebody like, Elijah, that is looking at every single issue that's here in Florida, not just LGBTQ, but all around. Yeah. That's the person that I want to.
Well, and I think he's going to touch a lot of younger voters. You see a lot of voters who are middle-aged. I mean, a lot of candidates running who are middle-aged, and you have someone young and energetic like this, and he's not just looking out just for our community, he's looking out for all of his potential constituents.
Yeah. Congressman Elijah Manley.
Yes, I like that.
And he sits around this table at times.
Right? I like that.
We need him back.
So that is the big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.
Now let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ story for today. I'm Vaughn Biggs, and let's queer up health. 45-7 administration cuts LGBTQ plus health research grants, jeopardizing vital progress. Researchers dedicated to improving queer health are sounding the alarm as nearly 300 grants have vanished as part of a sweeping rollback of funding by the federal government. NBC News reported the National Institutes of Health has canceled at least $125 million in grants, with researchers blindsided and fearing for their jobs. The losses hit hard in LGBTQ-focused health, especially in areas impacting gay and trans Americans. NBC News explains that many of the cancellations trace back to the 45-7 era executive orders that ban recognition of trans identities and halt DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. As 45-7 and Vice President J.D. Vance campaign, LGBTQ researchers are bracing for more attacks. Harvard, Columbia, and Penn have already seen research stripped. At the CDC, critical HIV surveillance programs were axed on April 1st, including specialized STI testing labs targeting diseases that disproportionately affect gay men. Even studies into cancer and heart disease were dropped if they were mentioned LGBTQ groups. Julia Marcus of Harvard Medical School said, quote, "This is what authoritarianism looks like," end quote. While the NIH's new director, Jay Bhattacharya, says he supports health for, quote, every American, end quote. His statements admit gender identity and fail to mention HIV, still a crisis in queer communities. Dr. Chris Bracker of Duke Global Health said, this, quote, reminds me of the early days of AIDS. We cannot go back, end quote. But for many researchers, it feels like we are already there. Mm. Okay, a couple of things. Reading the story, a lot of it is attacking researchers and a lot of our universities that do research. Mm-hmm. And I find it interesting because I kind of see it on both sides. Mm-hmm. I mean, we've seen a lot, the pendulum swing go really left and just everybody losing jobs. But when you look at agencies that are getting federal grants and they're charging potentially 25% or more just for administration costs to take off the top of the money, and not really, it's how much of it is really being used in the research. There's where I start to really look at the questions and want to know what's happening. And I see that happening more and more, especially in these universities. They're taking way percentage tops off the money before they can do that. When you think of even HIV in general, you know, the government gets their cut, then it goes to the state gets their cut, it goes to the county, gets their cut, before it gets to the people that actually get to use the funds for HIV. I've seen it with, obviously, I went to the HIV Cure Academy not too long ago down in Philadelphia, and it was like, while we were there, they got notified that the funding was cut. Wow. And I look at that and I go, but they're also private funded as well. So it's not, well, yes, that's a lot of money that's being lost. A lot of these universities have access to $1 billion of endowment that they could probably pull upon to use. But I did think it was interesting that about 2 hours ago, or 3 hours ago, I guess it was, that Harvard just came out and basically said...
Came out as gay?
No, they came out...
We wish!
Right?
Sorry.
No, they came out and basically said, no, we're not going to stand for this. We are not going to back down and not say DEI or not say LGBTQ. So... And think about it, they're one of the oldest institutions in our country.
That's
and
a blessing.
They can stand up. The rest of these larger universities can do the same.
Hopefully they can follow suit, but it really does still saddens us. I mean, straight people get HIV and AIDS too.
Yes.
That's the part in the comments when they were saying, you know, over 51% are, you know, women living with HIV worldwide.
Exactly.
So it's kind of like, wait a minute, it's not, everyone wants to point it towards gay. We see it all the time. They want to point HIV to the LGBTQ community exclusively. Yes, we are proportionally affected in different areas of the country. Yeah. But at the same time, it doesn't have a discrimination. The disease
no, it really doesn't.
It doesn't discriminate.
So, and your story was mainly universities, right? And you know, because I've also heard of a lot of other cuts everywhere. You know, grants being cut for our nonprofits here locally. That now they're trying to stretch $1 as far as it will stretch, because they were expecting a certain amount of money for 2025, and that was cut abruptly at the beginning of the year. Right. So we will see this kind of effect even locally as to what it will affect. But I mean, you know, cancer. I mean, we're so close to certain cures, right? That it's like, you know, we've all been affected by cancer at this table. 2 people at this table had cancer, okay? Like, so it's a lot out of 5. Right. You know, and we're going to stop that kind of testing and that kind of investigative research because it might help some gays too. Like,
this is another, like, we're going back on science. Like, I don't know why we're doing that, you know. And another thing, this is the importance of voting. This is the importance of voter registration. This is the importance of getting out and actually, you know, people, you know, the gays on Grindr, you know, they think that, hey, you know, voting doesn't affect me. voter registration doesn't. Well, this is the direct impact, right? Do you get tested? You get tested all the time, right? And we're having a lot of gays, right? They don't want to talk about politics. They don't want to talk about the current administration. They want to be on Grindr. They want to have fun. But this is the consequence of that. This is the consequence. We have stuff like this where we're losing grant funding. We're losing HIV. I mean, these nonprofits here in Wilton, Fort Lauderdale, even in where I'm from, where Miami, Hialeah, right? This is the impact of not registering to vote. This is the impact of not having those conversations about politics, about not wanting to have those uncomfortable conversations about not registering to vote.
Yeah. Well, that is the big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight. Those are today's headlines from Queer News Tonight. These anchors represent the best of our LGBTQ and ally community.
If our community is important to you, share this news with your family and friends. Join the conversation on your favorite streaming platform.
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ plus digital television show in the world that is, quote, out of the closet and into the headlines.
We need your support. If our community is to grow and thrive, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world.
This is the only place in the world that tells these types of LGBTQ stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, and Queer News Tonight.
That's right, Vaughn, and I am your lead anchor, FayWhat! And on behalf of these LGBTQ reporters, the incredible anchors of Queer News Tonight, including Edward Otto Zielke, Angel Martinez, Larry Farver, and Vaughn Biggs. We will see you daily at 8 p.m. to our LGBTQ plus world. We hope that you will join us by embracing love, generosity, bravery, by being transformative and being queer. Good night.
Good night.